Hi, welcome to JJ's Productions. We're back with another Stoke City Vlogcast. With me as always is Jan. How are you doing?
I'm okay, thanks, son. Hi, everyone. Hope you're all okay after the break.
I'm going to say, when was Reading?
It
Certainly feels like a lifetime ago.
I know.
It wasn't very memorable, was it?
Well, I've wrote here, I don't know if anybody else feels the same, but I was bored rigid. I mean, it's all right saying, oh, we've got clean sheets, but we want some excitement.
The Stoke Twitter page did make a point at full time to point out, I think it's 7 games unbeaten now. And immediately those Stoke fans who were on the more glass off empty side pointed out that it was a similar run we had with Rowett before he got the sack. So I'm not suggesting there's any comparison there as far as Nathan Jones and his future, but I think draws are something we're just getting a little bit fed up of now.
Yeah. We need to see goals. But I've always noticed it with Stoke. Okay, we're playing in the Championship, but all those above us, we can beat them. Or,
we
put a better performance in, and we can beat them, the likes of Leeds and Notts Forest and whoever. I don't know if Notts Forest are still above us, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And then we play the bottom clubs, and we're absolutely blinking dire.
Well, I found some of the quotes from Nathan Jones interesting in the past week or so, in that he's talking about recruitment and how he's going to demand a lot from Tom Edwards by the sounds of it. He wants Edwards and whoever he brings in at left back to be able to go up and down the pitch for 90 minutes. So it certainly sounds like the full-backs are going to be important when we're assuming he's going to start the Diamond next season. And working from that, I would assume that he's got to find a space for someone like Tybalt Linden, who, even though we didn't see the game, by all accounts he had a brilliant debut despite the scoreline. For me, that is one thing that I'm really pleased with Nathan Jones for, that he's giving these young players chances. I mean, I think it's still unlucky that Tyrese Campbell went out on loan. I expect that he's getting game time. I'm not criticising that bit. But there's a bit of me thinking he would have been a better option off the bench than Monjuv.
Yeah, don't start.
So, it is a bit of that where you're looking at it and you're going, yes, Tyrese, go get your goals in, fill your boots, come back and get hungry for the next season. But equally, there's a bit of thinking, couldn't you have done it this season? I think we're all sort of sitting on that one. But I'm trusting Jones's judgment as far as that's concerned. And like I say, Verlinden, I'm hopeful that, even though he's a winger, I'm hopeful that we can find a spot for him in the team where, even if he has to adapt a little bit, maybe play as a forward or just behind the front men, hopefully he can find a good position.
Yeah, I know what I'm going to say now isn't going to step very well with a lot of you, but I think James McLean is playing a blinder at the minute. I think I don't like him. I'm not saying I like him, but I think he's the best of what we've got at the minute.
Something interesting is the criticism I've seen of McLean. Someone says he doesn't score, he doesn't assist, he doesn't create chances, so what does he do? Yeah, I haven't looked recently, but the last time I checked, he was top of our assist chart.
Yeah.
He doesn't score. I'll admit that is something I was wary of when we got him in. I thought he doesn't score goals, and that has proven true. But he has got a few assists, and I think even if he has dipped on that form, he is probably the one who's creating the most chances.
Yeah, and he can put in a good tackle. Okay, he does get booked occasionally, every game, but other than that, he does win the ball off the player, off the opposition, and I don't think anybody would do it as well as what he is doing.
I mean, I know you're focusing on football there, but for me, I think I'd be much happier with him if he just stayed out of the headlines a little bit as far as... we're recording this on the Wednesday, and I've just read in Sky Sports News headlines that he's been saying about Declan Rice playing for England, and basically, if you don't want to play for a sod off sort of attitude, and I'm like, I understand where he's coming from, but considering he played for Northern Ireland under-21s himself, and obviously there was some pathway for him to play there, maybe kettle calling teapot a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah.
And I think with Declan Rice, there is the issue of, it was his grandparent he was going with the Republic of Ireland, but he went with his family essentially with England. So, I think it's a lot more complicated than McLean made out in this comment, and I think add that to him commenting about the protests with the Ireland team ahead of the Georgia game, and you're thinking, James, why don't you just take it easy when people ask you questions and just say, sorry, don't want comment?
I mean, then he's got to learn 2 words. That's all. No comment.
Yeah.
And keep his mouth shut. And I think people will respect him more for saying no comment than saying something that is totally out of, well...
This is the thing, if someone like, I'm going to the far extreme, but if you're someone like Ronaldo who's getting goals, assists, you're literally the star of the team, then yeah, of course you can say what the hell you like, because people will think, it doesn't matter what he says, he's contributing. But even though we're praising McLean, there is still areas for him to work on, as we say, goals, etc. So you think to yourself, don't be such a gobby so-and-so when you've still got things you can work on, because all it means is that someone else can point at you and say, well, you're saying this, but you have got da-da-da, and basically counter. So instead of drawing attention to himself, he should just get his head down and work, which is what I think he does for the most part, but like I say, it's the mouthing off that draws attention.
I sometimes wonder, if things do play on his mind. Like, a lot of the opposition, they boo him. There's not a lot of people who like him.
I don't think I've seen a group of supporters who haven't booed.
No. And I think he takes that to heart. And I just think he might just hold that in his head while he's playing. And I just think he might have it on his mind too much. Instead of just getting on with the game and not giving a monkeys what we're saying, the crowd are saying about him, he will probably get on a lot better. But I'm the same. I can't knock him. If anybody says anything about me, it's on my mind. Do you know what I mean?
It could be a case that it fuels him. Some people thrive on criticism or perceived dislike or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Just think about the Chelsea players in the Mourinho era, the classics, the Terrys, Lampards, Coles. You used to see him come to the Britannia Stadium then, as it was.
Yeah.
I always remember Frank Lampard coming to take a corner right in front of us. The booth and them were shouting Fat Frank and all this lot. And you could just see a smirk on his face as if to say, right, I'm going, it's a good corner now.
Yeah. And we were saying, don't shout that because he'll only do better.
Yeah, so some people do thrive on it. And, I know people might say, well, McLean hasn't exactly shown us he's thriving, but
no.
Equally, if you take that away, could he be worse? So
what I would do is I'd just wave to the crowd, and just pass it off. But I really do think that he holds it to heart.
I can't remember which footballer it was, but I heard a story about that I absolutely loved. It might have been Jamie Mackey or someone really ridiculous who made a move that was perceived to be just for the money, and he went back to his former club, and when the crowd were chanting it, he did just turn around and do that with his fingers. Obviously we can't show you with it being just
money.
Yeah, the money fingers, and you think, at least he pretty much owned up to the crowd. Yeah, just did it because it was a better payday.
Yeah.
I probably got it wrong with Jamie Mackey because that doesn't make sense, but there are instances where it happens, and you think, okay, at least you owned up to it.
Well, that's it. So that's just my take on James McLean at the minute. But I just think he's better than what we've got.
Well, one of the other interesting talking points that came out of the Reading game was Tom Ince, and he did seem to have an ineffectual game, and it sounds like he hasn't been on Stoke fans' positive side for a while.
No.
I remember when we went to the Villa game, I thought he had a good first half, but drifted a bit second. The Forest game again, I thought he had a good first half, drifted in the second. And I think one of the reasons why he isn't getting dropped is because who is the creative outlet when you take him out? Because we praise McLean, but he isn't exactly creative. He's more like someone who'll keep whipping a ball in and maybe 1 out of 10 goes in the correct spot.
Yeah.
Whereas I think Ince is someone who occupies defenders' minds a little more.
Yeah. Like you say, when we watched Villa and Notts Forest, I mean, I thought he had a cracking game because he was passing into the box. Okay, we didn't do much with it, but he was passing into the box and he was finding his man in the first halves.
My criticism of Tom in both those games was that he didn't seem to be willing to take on his man a bit more. You know, for me, he's a very tricky player with a bit of pace. Not a lot of pace, but, you know, he's enough to at least get a head start.
Yeah.
And you think, why don't you at least try and beat him and then whip a ball in? Or even if you can't whip it in, maybe do a dummy and then whip it in. You know, there are options. And it's as if his mindset is, all right, I might lose it here, so I'll just play it short to Tom Edwards.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, why play it safe when the odds are probably that you can do it yourself?
Yeah.
You know, maybe I'm just being harsh on him, but I'd rather see a little bit more of that greedy side, which I never thought I'd say about Tom Ince, but I think the few times he's been greedy at the club, he's actually done well in the sense that he's had shots, he's cut inside and that caused problems, whereas I think when he's trying to be selfless, he doesn't contribute as much.
Yeah. And going on to Tom Edwards, I mean, he's a little star at the minute, in my eyes. He has his off peaks, but...
I mean, I'm chuckling because, I'm going back to that Villa and the Forest game, and it really did surprise me when he got man of the match, but he's been getting rave reviews since, so I'm just hoping that we missed something, you know, because it's like...
I think people were on about the second half with that Wolf.
Yeah.
Because he was right in front of us on the first half both times.
Yeah.
And, you know, it must have been on the second half that we didn't see enough of what he was doing.
Put it like this, right? The fact that we came out and brought this up, and ever since then he hasn't had a bad word said about him, all I can hope is that he carries on, because it just makes us look more and more foolish and him look better and better.
Yeah.
I would rather that be the situation than him suddenly having a stinker and we're like, oh, okay, that is what we saw.
Yeah.
So, you know, Tom, keep it up. Sorry, love.
Going on to Joe Allen, sometimes he's like a rabbit in the headlights. He runs around and there's nowhere to go. I just don't know what to say about Joe at the minute. He's doing a good job when he plays, but sometimes I just don't think he knows what he's doing.
For me, I feel like we signed one Joe Allen and got another. You know, for me, I remember when he played for Wales and he was the machine in that midfield who kept things ticking over.
Yeah.
You know, there's a reason why they called him the Welsh Pirlo and the Welsh Xavi, because, you know, it was a case of he was the one who kept ticking the ball over and keep it in the possession of the Welsh. But he doesn't seem to have that confidence on the ball now.
No.
It's as if whenever he receives it, he's prone to a mispass, and, you know, maybe that's just how he is, but...
I mean, I can't just blame him for that. I mean, the other players know that a ball is going to be crossed and they should be running towards or after that ball. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, they know that Allen is going to pass it to...
They should basically run into space a bit better.
Yeah,
you know,
that's it.
That's a criticism I've had of Stoke for 6 to 12 months, to me thoughts, that there aren't runners.
Yeah.
You know, I think it is the one thing that Marko Arnautovic used to offer to us, that he was always on the last man on the wing, and you could always rely on a pinged ball over the top that he'd run onto.
Yeah.
You know, and suddenly the back four are retreating, whereas I don't think McLean does do it a little, but the thing is he's not got Marco's quality, so it's like he'll always, you know, maybe lose the ball, go out for a corner, or it's like a failed build-up, whereas with Marko it used to be a complete build-up, he used to get a chance out of it. And on the other wing, you haven't really got that with Ince. Like I say, he isn't as direct as I feel as he could be, and you know, you see that with Allen, and maybe that affects his decision making, where he thinks, well, if I ping it that way, I'm going to end up, you know, losing possession. If I ping it that way, I'm going to lose possession.
Yeah.
So I'll just play it short and safe, and you can end up then not having options because you know you've got.
But I go back to training again. Why aren't they doing this in training? Or are they? And they just aren't doing it.
That is a hard question to answer without seeing training.
Yeah.
You know,
it just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, why haven't we got any set pieces yet?
I think Danny Bart's been unlucky since he's been at the club. I think he's due one, but I get your point in general. I think it's disheartening that we haven't got a free kick taker still.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest, we haven't had a free kick taker really for the last 5 years. Don't get me wrong, Shaqiri could take one a little bit, but I wouldn't have called him a free kick taker. Arnie scored a few, but he wasn't consistent. You know, and I know that you might say, well, they are hard to come by, and I'm not taking that away, but equally, there's a bit where you're thinking, the last one who I felt confident over taking him was, oddly enough, Charlie Adam.
Yeah.
Even he's gone off the boil. He can't take a corner for love nor money right now.
Well, I know I saw a clip of the Reading match, and who am I talking about?
I don't know.
Sorry, folks, I've just had a right senior moment here. And there was a free kick, and it was Tom Ince who took it, I remember. And it just went straight in the wall.
Yeah.
No, what's the crack with that?
I mean, I remember, I think it might have been the Derby County game, and Adam took a corner, and it went straight out for a goal kick. And you're thinking,
Yeah.
Charlie, your corners used to be valued at £10 million alone. How's this happened?
Yeah, it was, it's just beyond me.
I mean, hopefully we can work it out, but it's definitely somewhere we've got to move on, work on, isn't it?
Yeah.
I got my words muddled up then, because I'm thinking we need to move on a little bit. But yeah, it's been an interesting week. You know, and the Reading game was interesting. You know, I think we deserve more than the points over balance of play, but equally we can't complain at the point. So yeah, I'm going to say, Reading fans, if you're listening, give us your views on what you thought. But we are going to move on to the Sheffield Wednesday game. I have to think which one we're playing.
I'm going to do my stats first.
You get at them, Duck.
Don't you try push me out.
You go ahead.
Right. Wednesday. They've won 14, drawn 13 and lost 11. They're currently in 10th. We're currently in 17th, I think, aren't we, Joshua?
Yeah, I think them.
So, you know, there's a bit of difference between us, but I don't think points-wise we're too far behind them.
I mean, I might be telling a lie there, I'll admit. I haven't looked at the table just for the fact that my mindset right now with Stoke and the table is we're bottom half.
Yeah.
You know, whatever, you know, as long as we're on 21st to 22nd to 24th, I don't really care now.
Well, yellow cards, they've got 59, and red, they've got 2. And I think they've only gone 3 matches without a yellow. So, you know, they're
consistent with them.
Yeah, they like that colour, I think. Now, the top scorers, very impressive. Stephen Fletcher, 10. Lucas Zhao, he's got 9. And so has Adam Reaches It.
Yeah.
And he's on 9. So I think they're very, very impressive. And of course, we've also got the 2 that scored against us last time, which was Matthias, is it? Matthias.
Yeah, is it Lucas Matthias? Let me have a look. Marco Matthias. Wrong.
And Bannon.
Barry Bannon, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've just been looking at Barry Bannon's disciplinary, and he's on 13 yellow cards, so, you know, he's getting close to a 3-match ban, if I remember right. I don't know if the EFL rules are different, but I'm pretty sure in the Premier League, if you got to 15 yellow cards, you had a 3-match ban. So,
yeah.
you know, he's got to watch his foot, really.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't say that Wednesday are close to the, you know, close in realistic terms of the playoffs, but they have got a chance still, so they won't want him missing for 3 games in that run-in, so... Yeah.
Well, what I found funny about them stats really is that you've got them 3 on 10, 9 and 9 goals, and then you've just got 2 other individuals that scored against us anyway. You know, so that's, you know, there's so many players there that you've got to watch out for.
Yeah.
You know, and the defence have really got to be on the toes.
I mean, I'm just looking here at the stats for Sheffield Wednesday's goalkeepers, and I was under the impression Kieran Westwood didn't start in goal for the first half of the season under the previous manager. And if I'm looking right, that makes sense, because Cameron Dawson's played 25 games this season, and he's got a clean sheet records of 16%.
Yeah.
So that isn't great. Then they brought back Kieran Westwood, who's quite an established goalkeeper in this league, and he's played 16 games, and the clean sheet record is 56.25%. So
Bit of a difference there, isn't there?
I think there is a bit of difference, but I also think the Steve Bruce effect might be there as well.
Yeah.
I think when he joins a club, there is a little bounce.
Yeah.
And that irritates me again with Stoke because we just haven't had a bounce lately. But it's one of those things you can expect from a Steve Bruce team, that they are a little bit defensively organised. Maybe not the most stringent of defensive, but they are organised to a degree. And I do think they are relatively attacking. Maybe more like Tony Pulis attacking. Maybe not completely long ball, but it's not exactly tiki taka either. So I think it's going to be a hard game.
Yeah.
I played the game on FIFA and just for the clip, obviously, and I'm ashamed of the scoreline, I will admit. But on the other hand, I didn't think it was completely out of this world as far as the loss. Because I think Wednesday are the sort of team who could turn up and actually get a result at Bet365.
I think so. I've got nothing whatsoever against Sheffield Wednesday. I've been to their ground on many, many occasions, and that's only because I like Wednesday. So I think it'll be an interesting game, and I think they'll bring a lot out of the closet to players.
I remember at the first half of the season, I didn't really know what had gone wrong. Because, they had got some established players. Stephen Fletcher's been going for donkey's years. When he's fit, he's a good goal scorer. And you've got the likes of Barry Bannon, who's been around the block now for a while. He is quality, but I wouldn't say he's Premier League quality. I think if he got promoted, he might dip out the squad. But I think in the Championship, he's a good player. And then there are, again, other people around, like George Boyd, who's been in the Premier League. He's a fairly steady Championship player even now. So you look and you think it is a good squad on paper, and it's amazing that it's taken Steve Bruce coming in to really galvanise it.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't surprise me if they had a late push for the playoffs, but I'm not particularly seeing it.
Yeah, I like Steve Bruce. I think I've said this on an occasion earlier in the season, that I do like him. I liked him as a player, and I like him now, and I think he's a good sport.
Yeah, for me, I've heard about his personal life. I think a lot of viewers or listeners might have heard about his personal life. He's lost both his parents, if I've heard right, and he's also had physical problems himself, so it's been a rough year or so for him. And I know that we've got the chant at Stoke of, Ken Wynne-Jones and all that, and how that song ends, but I'll admit it, I wouldn't particularly want to join in this time. Only because I think, okay, I know that it's a game of football, you put your problems to one side, but equally, give him one off, shall we say, just let him have a year off from it.
Yeah.
But I don't know, maybe that's just me being sentimental,
They won't.
Oh no, they won't. I've already seen comments on Twitter saying that Cameron is a Stokey, comes from Trinidad. So it is a little bit of a shame for Steve, but I imagine he gets stick at every ground. God, that when he goes back to Villa. So that's like I say, it's me being sentimental.
Yeah.
I don't like anyone getting dog's abuse after a bad time in life, but I think the Stoke supporters only do it in good humour, if that makes sense. I know it's not a nice way of doing it, but
well, they have got that song where they say "Give us a wave," and he never fails. That's why I say he's a good sport.
It's only because I want Stoke to move away from that style, which is why I'm sticking behind Nathan Jones, that I wouldn't want him at our club. But as a manager, I respect him. It's just like I say, I want us to move away from that old guard idea. But like I say, I've got no big issues with Steve Bruce, and hopefully he does well at Wednesday, well enough, should I say. I always fear saying that too much in case they suddenly surge past us. But
well, I hope they've had a nice rest, and they're still in rest mode on Saturday.
Well, let's hope a lot as well, because I think only a few have been away on internationals, so fingers crossed.
It usually takes them 15 minutes wake up Stoke. I'd wager more on the 20-25 this week.
So in that vein, what is your prediction for this game? Because you've got about a minute and a half to come out with it.
I've gone 2-1 Stoke.
You've gone 2-1 Stoke. Well, I'm going to go for 1-1 because I think Wednesday will be quite dominant, and I think we might just get a goal somewhere. I don't know when, I don't know where, but I think we'll get a goal.
Well, I'm hoping that Vokes is on.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping.
Hopefully he's fit.
I think he'll score the winner.
Yeah, I mean, the way I see it is, if we can get anything against Wednesday, for me, how they have been doing it late, I think it'd be a bonus point, as they call it. So, fingers crossed we get something. But that wraps it up for this week. So, thank you very much for listening. Hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll be back next week for... Ooh, who are we playing next? Have you got it on your list, Doug? Blackburn. Okay, so see you in the Blackburn video, folks.
Okay, folks, that's all for now. If you've got any comments, don't forget to leave them.
Yeah, I'm going to say we always appreciate the comments, so make sure you leave them if you're here. Thanks very much.
Bye, folks.
Bye, everyone.